Just as Nigeria was about to finally see an end to polio, news filtered in that a suspected case has surfaced in Borno State. Now, the government and NGOs are doing everything to eradicate the disease in the country. Ahead of the World Polio Day on October the 24th, Rotary Club in Nigeria is at the forefront of this campaign. And we have the chairman, Nigerian National Polio Plus Committee, Tunji Funsho, with us in the studio to analyze this very issue. Good to have you here on the
Thank
News
you very
Hour.
much for having me.
Yes, Nigeria was, rated as one of the countries out of polio by the WHO, but right now there's a resurgence. What do you think is responsible for this?
Well, Nigeria was removed from the list of polio endemic countries in 2015 by WHO because at that time we were a year without polio. 2 years down the line, we had 4 cases of polio coming out of Borno State, principally because we've not been able to reach those children with the polio vaccines for about 4 years, because they were living in an environment that was inaccessible because of the Boko Haram insurgency. It was the result of the efforts of the government to liberate those areas that those people were able to come out to IDP camps, mostly in the metropolis of Maiduguri and some adjoining local governments that were able to identify these 4 children.
Yeah, but if you say that, for 4 years now, you're not able to get to those areas you mentioned, is that enough for polio to, rear its ugly head? Because right now, we've been doing a lot for campaign, for awareness, for vaccination. So how come under 4 years we're able to have, another case like this?
Well, that is why we're promoting the World Polio Day. Because as long as there's polio virus in any part of the world, if children are not immunized, they are at risk. So the areas that we're not able to reach for 4 years, the children were deprived of getting immunization. And as long as there's a virus of polio in the environment, and they inhabit mostly water and other unsanitary environments, a child who is not immunized coming in contact with those contaminated sources will come down with polio.
So are you saying that those are the only discoveries that have been made so far?
Yes, the last case was discovered on the 24th of August 2016. And since then, we've not had any new cases.
This year's theme says one day, one focus, ending polio. What does it connote?
Well, the catchword there is, one focus. We need to continue focusing on ensuring that no child is left without the polio vaccine, because that is the only way we can keep the virus at bay and prevent children from coming down with the disease. There is a tendency when we say we've been 1 year without polio for people to become complacent and want to move on to other things, particularly the political leadership and also some of our partners who have also other pressing needs in other areas where they want to intervene. So we want to keep that focus on that children should be immunized, and parents and caregivers should take every opportunity to get their children immunized against polio.
But there's another question of reception, on the part of mostly the northerners. They do not believe in vaccines for some time. And also, recently, there is this vaccination scare, in some parts of the south, alleging that the military is trying to vaccinate some children from monkeypox. Now, with this in mind, and also buried, the insinuation that the northerners, do not accept vaccination, as it were, how are you able to penetrate these areas that are prone to, polio virus?
Well, that was, that perception wasn't a perception. That reality was 10 years ago in the north. Currently, we have very, very few instances of rejection of the polio vaccines in the north. We just concluded an immunization exercise which we carry out regularly in the northern states yesterday. And paradoxically, the rejection was not coming from northerners. It was coming from southeasterners who, from what you said earlier, were rejecting purely because of rumors that are totally unfounded. That the vaccines, are laced, with injurious substances for children, and there was no basis for it. The foundation of the story itself was quite baseless. The purported armed forces that are supposed to have been.
So what are you doing to change that perception?
Well, if you recall, on Saturday, the federal government put out a press statement to the effect that, number one, the vaccine is quite safe. Number two, that the military were not doing any form of vaccination exercise anywhere in any part of the country, which had been corroborated by people in that part of the country. And furthermore, the director of immunization at the Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja was on Channels Television on Saturday night to further let people know that there's no basis for it, and also to reconfirm the safety, of the vaccines. And currently, we're getting state governors in the southeast to send out and also to address the public about, the fact that the vaccine is safe.
Quickly now, how practicable is the idea of having a polio-free society, and what way would you advise Nigerians as the World Polio Day approaches to, protect themselves against, such a virus?
Well, we have shown that it is quite practicable. When we started this program 30 years ago, we were having 350,000 cases of polio annually. That's approximately 1,000 children coming down with polio every day.
But then it keeps rearing up its ugly head.
The cases have reduced so dramatically that at this point in time, we have just 11 cases of polio in the world, as against when we started of 350,000. So that gives us, the confidence that it can be done. And we have only 3 countries left with polio. We started with 125. So it is something that we're confident can be done. From time to time, we have these challenges, and we have learned along the line, to come up with solutions to surmount those challenges, and that's why we're here. But we do not want people to be complacent.
All right.
We want to use the World Polio Day to create more awareness and, plead with parents and caregivers to avail themselves of the opportunity of immunizing themselves and their children under the age of 5 against the polio disease.
On that positive note, I'd like to thank you very much, Tunji Funsho, Nigerian National Polio Chairman Committee. It's a pleasure to have your thoughts on
Thank you for
the
having
news
me.
hour.